Hey everybody, whomever is there. So I'm going to be speaking on vulnerability today. I'm sorry, on guilt and shame today. I spoke on vulnerability last time. Hey cuz, how are you? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me so I can know that my audio is okay tonight. Right here. Mm. Yes, you. Who else? Yes, you, Miss Michelle, cousin Michelle. Hey, Kim. All right, thanks, cuz. Appreciate you. All right, I'm gonna give it a few more minutes for people to plug in. So, for those that may not know, my name is Kazimbe Abena, and this is Cultivating Intimacy, and this is a weekly live Facebook broadcast. And last week we spoke on um, vulnerability and the importance of vulnerability in relationships. So today we are going to speak on um, shame and guilt and how it relates to the sexual body. And I'm going to speak on it briefly. I'm not going to speak that long. And then I'm going to open it up for questions. And I'm going to do a little channeling tonight, a little reading. And we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. Just waiting for a few more people to join up. And I'll get started. As we're sitting here, a book that I'm going to reference real quick tonight is a great book called Power versus Force. Power versus Force by, as you see, Dr. David R. Hawkins. And this is a really good book because it actually talks about quantifying emotions and how some emotions have a very low energetic signature, which allows you to or forces you to vibrate low, and then others have very high energy quotients, which allows you to obviously vibrate high. So if you're talking about the law of attraction, that's the key. That is actually the absolute key to the law of attraction, is that you want to match whatever you're trying to draw in. You want to match that with your vibration. Very difficult to say I want to be loved and I want to be in a relationship, or at least it's very difficult to have a positive relationship and you are feeling guilt and shame about yourself. Those two feelings are incongruent, and it's not going to bring you what you want. If you are self-loathing, you're going to bring self-loathing to you. That's just the way it works. That's all about the law of attraction. Law of attraction, it attracts anything that you are like, anything that you resonate with. It's going to attract that. So it means we have to be very careful about what we put out there in the universe and how we feel about ourselves to begin with. So you want to love someone. There's an old song back in the day, love the one, love the one you're with. Well, the one you're with is you. So love yourself first, and then you'll draw self-love to you. You'll draw someone that loves you to you if you have self-love first. So that's the law of attraction. That's the law of attraction. Still waiting on some folks to join. I think I'll probably just go on ahead and get into this. So, in the work that I do a combination of energy work, coaching, and channeling, particularly focus on intimacy and love, love of self, love of source, God, Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah, the eternal sacred source, however you want to call it, um, and the love of life and the environment and those around us and our partners and our friends and our husbands and our wives. For me, love is what I work out of. Love is very important. That's the energy that I work with typically. So in that, um, it's really important about how we come to a relationship. What are we coming to a relationship with? And our first relationship, of course, is how we are relating to ourselves. How we are relating to ourselves. Very important. Um, and you want to make sure that you're giving yourself self-love first. That's the most important thing. When it comes to intimacy, sex, sensuality, I think that unfortunately, society, particularly Western society, because it tends to be very hypocritical, and the church and I'm not saying all churches, but I think the church in general has helped to foster a very negative perception of sexuality, which allows us to harbor or forces us to harbor a lot of guilt about sexuality. You know, no sex before marriage, um, you know, only doing certain positions, only doing it at certain times. Not all churches are concerned with those things, but some are. Some are, and I've heard out of people's mouths. Um, and I want people to understand this. If you are being controlled, so much so that you are being controlled, what you do in the bedroom is being controlled, then you are truly in slavery. I mean, you really are. Because if you can't even express yourself without guilt and shame through a method in which we all came here, i.e. sex, sexuality, intercourse, then there's really, really something wrong, you know. So we really want to take an honest look at that. So I brought up power versus force initially because I wanted to show you. I'm going to break open this page. This is on page, let's see, it's on page 68 and 69, and it quantifies energetic signatures. I'm just going to, I know you probably can't see it too well, but just so you have an idea. And at the bottom here, the lowest at the bottom here, you see, good, you can see it now, is shame and guilt. Shame and guilt. And it goes all the way down to 20. And then the highest that we'll see here, I think is like 1,000, 1,400, something like that. We can see there. Let me see there. Yeah, 1,000. 1,000 is the highest, and that's enlightenment. Love, well, joy is at 540, I think I see. Yep, and love is at 500. So love is right below joy. Love is right below joy. All right, so why am I talking about this? Why am I showing this? Okay, well, on that scale, with enlightenment being at the highest point, love being a few notches below that at like 540. So love, enlightenment being around 1,000, 800 to 1,000, I think it said. Joy and then love being at 500. Then you're all the way down to 20 with shame and guilt. What it's showing you is that there's really nothing positive that can come out of shame and guilt. Anger is it's actually scaled not as low as you would think. Anger is actually scaled at 150, if you can see where my finger is. Anger is actually scaled at 150. And the reason it is because you can actually use anger to propel you and to move you up through some other emotions, which will mean that you will be moving and growing, so to speak. So the reason that guilt and shame are so low on the energetic spectrum is because that's like death. There's no movement there, or extremely lit. There's like almost none. And if you think about the times that any of you have ever felt guilty or shamed about something, you know, your shoulders slump, your head drops, you can barely move. It's a very, very debilitating and heavy state of being. So that's so dangerous, because if we look at shame and guilt in that way, and then we talk about, or we look at how we view our sexuality, if we are putting that sort of shame and guilt, if we are putting that energetic signature from our minds and projecting that on our sexual being, then guess what? Our sexual being is dead. It's dead and or dying. It has no life. So with the tantric arts, which is what I practice, as well as energetic arts, your kundalini, your chi, which is the spark of life, which largely comes up, at least oftentimes through, which can be enhanced through a sensual or sexual act. That's your life force. So if you have a negative view of your life force, then it means you're shutting down your life force. You're putting death or immobility on your life force. You're literally shutting yourself down. If you are shutting your sex down, you are shutting your life force down. There's not a separation there. There just isn't. Extremely, extremely, extremely negative effects on the body, mind, and spirit. I cannot emphasize that enough. I can't emphasize that enough. And typically what you see in certain very conservative circles is a lot of guilt, is people guilting folk not to engage in sex, guilting them from certain pleasures. And let me say that wanting someone to be balanced and then wanting someone to completely divorce himself from a particular act are two totally different things. I think it is within reason and very wise to counsel someone and suggest that they find balance in their lives, because too much of anything is not a good thing. Too much sunlight will dry you out and burn you. I mean, you know, too much of anything is not a good thing. But what we find is that there is not an emphasis on balance when it comes to sex. People are just talking about just don't do it. Particularly, you know, young people, which I understand that as well. I'm not advocating that people underage, you know, run off and have sex. I'm advocating that they have responsibility first. But this whole thing about no sex before marriage, to me, is extremely damaging, because we don't even get to the point where we're talking about the healing aspects of sexuality and sensuality at all. And then you have people that have been married for years. You have a lot of people that are elders and pass on, and you realize that they have actually been ashamed of their genitals. They don't know the healing power of their genitals. They don't know the healing power of sex because they've never been allowed to explore it. They were never encouraged to explore it. So I really want to suggest that if you make a decision to be abstinent for a period, the number one, it be for a period, unless you are a monk or a nun or something like that, and you are in a community, because then there are things that you can do to offset the negative effects of that energy that is not being allowed to flourish. You're redirecting it. But unless you're in something like that, that still acknowledges the positive aspects of sexual activity and allows you to redirect it in a very healthy way, you're going to be damaged from just abstaining. And I also want to really, really advise folk not to abstain from a negative perspective, i.e., from guilt or shame. If you are going to abstain, I suggest that it's like this. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit all over the place now, so I'm going to go ahead and abstain for a moment, a month or two or three or whatever, a moment, because I really want to get into myself and I really want to, get back centered and meditate and this and that. And I want to, get into praying more and, et cetera, and whatever, what I just want to get back centered. Um, and the idea there is that the person could be saying, okay, you know what? I don't want to really mix with someone else's energy right now because I need to go inward. I need to go inward. I need to focus inward as much as I can right now. That's a very positive choice. That's a positive choice because it's not saying, oh, I don't want to have sex because sex is nasty, or you know what, I feel guilty about sex, so I don't want to do it. So therefore, let me just abstain from that, and go ahead and say some Hail Marys and ask God to forgive me and all this type of stuff. That's a very, very negative perspective of sex. Because again, we are denying that which helped get us here. So you're denying an integral part of you, which is not healthy. And you're shutting that whole process down. Shutting down sexual energy is shutting down your sexual organs, the lingam, the yoni, which is, of course, the penis, the vagina, the womb, the ovaries, the testes, which shuts down your ability to ignite, the ability to have passion, the ability to be aroused, the ability to have drive, the proper amount of drive, the ability to relate and have love, the ability to manifest, the ability to be at peace, the ability to feel grounded. You're shutting down all of your lower chakras, which are energy centers in the lower part of the body that basically feed our physical body and our energetic body. It's another discussion. I don't want to get into that too deeply. But it's really, really very damaging. Very, very damaging. Hey, Tavon. Hey, Rita. Tavon said the nuns had sex as well. Yeah, in some sects they definitely do. Okay. So you definitely want to to make sure that your choices about your sexuality are positive ones. Even if you abstain, I just showed you how you can have still have a positive view of sex and say, I'm just abstaining for a period of time. That's fine. So what do you do if you find yourself, and I'm going to open up questions for some readings in a moment, but what do you do if you find yourself in a situation where you are feeling guilty? There are a couple things you can do. You need to divorce yourself from the experience. So the first thing you want to do is forgive yourself. If you need to, forgive yourself. And then forgive the other person involved if you need to. And then you want to, I would suggest, writing a little bit about the situation. You can write the person or whatever you did or whatever it was about, and burning it. And really saying, and understanding that this experience is not me. It's not who I am. You can do that. And then, if appropriate, you want to even apologize and ask for forgiveness if you can, and if that feels like it's appropriate. If it's not, don't force it. Don't force it. If you can't do that, then write a letter. Write a letter of apology. But you want to get that off of you. You want to get that off of you. You just want to get it off of you. You want to get it off of you. And it's not so much that perhaps that what you did was right or wrong. It's going through the process of understanding that, hey, you know what? This is an experience. This was an experience, and we are not our experiences. So then what you want to do is simply identify what you learned from that experience. And you can write that down. You can file it for later. What did I learn from this? How have I grown from this? And make sure that whatever it is, it does not go into the shame or guilt category. You don't want that, because you don't want to shut that energy down within you. You don't want that. You really don't. All right, so we've got a few people up on here. I want to see if anyone has any questions. I'm going to open up the the lines for questions, and so I can do some channel readings right now. So what I'm going to do is, if anyone has any questions and they like some readings about their love life, about just kind of what's going on with them, you can basically, ask me some questions, and I will channel and just see what what your people have to say about it, and see if we can kind of get you some answers and give you some direction. I see someone's told me that they can't see this. They can't see live. Let me see here. Everyone can see me okay, right? Want to make sure everyone can see me okay? Let me right here. Can everyone hear and see me okay? Looks like I've got a couple people that said they can't see me. All right, can I get an example of a question? Okay. So perhaps you've got a situation with someone, and perhaps you've been in a certain pattern, and you're wondering why you're in these patterns in these relationships. Okay, thank you, Michelle. You can see and hear me. Great, thank you. So perhaps you're wondering, why do I keep getting these types of relationships? You know, what type of relationship would be the best for me, or in terms of lessons, because it all comes back to us. Sometimes people ask me, oh, how can I, when is my husband coming, or when is my wife coming, or when am I going to meet the person of my dreams? And my thing is, I don't know, because you don't know if you want to meet him yet, because you want to make sure that you're straight first. You could see them every day at work, and if you're just imbalanced and you're not on your path, and you're not where you need to be, it's not going to make any difference who you meet, because you won't be open and ready to receive them. So I'm concerned with people being where they need to be, operating at their highest and best self. And to that end, that's the sort of work that I do. If someone comes to me, and I've actually had people come to me, and they've talked about the guilt that they have. And the work that I do can specifically address that in terms of divorcing you and your energetic body from the experience, helping you to forgive yourself, and then putting love back in your heart. Because when we feel guilty and shameful about something, we don't love ourselves the way that we should. We don't. We don't. Okay. All right, so Taman says it's a message for humanity from the space energy regarding human sexuality. All right, so that's what we're looking to do today, is that if you have a question, we're going to look and see what Spirit has to say about it for you. We're going to look to address it and give you direction. Let me see here. Let me see. I've actually got... I'm going to invite some people here. Let me see. And see what we can do. Okay. So I want to open the floor up to any questions at all. There can be any questions at all about something that you may have felt guilty about, something that someone else may have felt guilty about, something that you may have been involved in, and you're not sure what the lesson was. So we can start there. If you've been involved in something, you're like, why do I keep going through this? Why do I keep going through this? Then I might be able to help you in terms of identifying the lesson for you. And that's really important because often we kind of run into brick walls and we keep repeating the same things, but we're repeating the same things because we're not learning the lessons. And that's a huge one. That's a huge, huge, huge one. Melissa, Brian, how are you? Thanks for joining. All right, so Michelle asks, how can I learn to love myself more and continue to love others without selfishness? How can I learn to love myself more and continue to love others without selfishness? So are you saying that so Michelle, are you saying that you are not you're afraid of loving yourself too much because you think you'll be selfish? Is that it? Hey, Derek. All right, so Michelle, I don't see a response from you, so I'm going to go ahead and just answer the question. Okay, okay, yes, okay. All right, so the first thing is that for you, there's nowhere near enough love. You can't be afraid to love yourself. There's just no, matter of fact, there's an element of martyrdom, and that's which is which is kind of, I'm trying to think of an easy way to say this. And let me first say this as well. This is not your fault. So let me say, wherever we are, let's get fault. Let's just take fault out of the equation. It's an experience for a lesson. Let's take fault out of the equation. Let's take blame out of the equation. Okay? Let's take that out of the equation. All right. So, okay. So, Michelle, it looks like this was inherited. It looks like this is a pattern that was inherited. It also looks like, okay, yeah, this is an inherited pattern. This is an inherited pattern, Michelle. This is an inherited pattern, and it's a fear of what you could be. It's an inherited pattern, and it's a fear of what you could be. And somewhere along the line, you were taught to fear who you were, but that was actually passed down. So don't even worry about the effect that it's going to have on others, because don't get into that right or wrong or this and that. You just need to love yourself, because when you love yourself properly, when you love yourself the way that God intended you to love yourself, and loving yourself properly is loving God, because we are all microcosms of the macrocosm, of the larger being the source of all sources, then that love, if properly executed, will be balanced. So you're almost like putting the cart before the horse here. And the best way to love yourself, I think initially, is to look at who you are and what you want to do and what you need. For you particularly, what do you need? What do you need to be happy? Because I'm not quite sure. What I'm getting is that you have no idea what makes you happy, because you're so used to pleasing other people. You just have no clue. So focus on what makes you happy first. Focus, and don't judge it. Write a list. Make a list. Make a list. Make a complete list. Do not judge what you write down. Just write it down. You know, going to the beach, driving my car, riding a horse, whatever it is. Don't judge how fantastic it may appear. Just write down what makes you happy. And then I want you to write down what you love about yourself. I want you to write down what you love about yourself. Again, don't judge it. No one's going to look at this but you. Don't judge it. Because part of the problem is that you've been judging so much that there's no room for love because you're too busy judging. And again, this is not your fault. This is not your fault. I want to keep on saying this. Because the last thing that you want to do is say, okay, I'm where I am, and it's my fault. Shame on me, boom, boom, boom. And then you're in the same predicament that you were before. It's just something extra now. I've got another comment by Melissa, excuse me, that said, why as a healer and teacher and a woman who wants a relationship can't seem to separate the two? I tend to get in the friend zone, teacher zone, or not being taken seriously, as if I don't really want to be in a relationship. All right. Thank you, Melissa. So that really comes down to how you view yourself. So, as I was saying in the beginning, when we view ourselves a certain way, if we truly love ourselves and we truly value ourselves a certain way, we will draw that to us. We will draw that to us. So, with you, Melissa, and we've actually talked about this before, of course. With you, this is very much about you meeting someone off the bat that adores you. Period. There's no sort of coercion needed on your part. There's no magic. There's no sort of, you got to convince them and plead your case. They're going to see it automatically. But this comes from the way they're going to see it is you've got to give that to yourself first. You've got to give that to yourself first. You've got to know and sit in the glory of who you are unequivocally. You've got to do that. You just got to be in it. An unshakable belief. You have to live it. You have to live it. Going to your favorite restaurants, even if it's by yourself, taking yourself out to the movies, adorning yourself in ways where you feel pretty. And that's also for you as well, Michelle. Sometimes we have to adorn ourselves to start to appreciate ourselves physically, and that can ignite other types of appreciation that we have for ourselves. We have eyes. Everyone has eyes. So sometimes the way we are perceived, or the way we do perceive, is going to determine how we relate to that thing. So it's the same thing if we're relating to ourselves sometimes. There was an exercise that we used to do when I was an actor in LA, and we would have to act like we were a king or a queen. Just be it, act like it. And that, of course, involved the way that you presented yourself, the way that you walked, the way that you carried yourself. If you did it outside of the classroom, in everyday life, what you wore. I'm feeling regal, so I'm going to wear this. I'm going to wear a certain color because that, royal blue, violet that I have behind me, these are very regal colors. Maybe not a whole outfit of them, but, an accent, a scarf, a skirt, gloves, a shirt, a tie. Also, though, for you, Melissa, we've got to see ourselves as more than just our occupation. We've got to see ourselves as someone deserving of love, to not only give, but to receive as well. So a lot of times, if we just see ourselves as healers and we're teachers, then we're really embodying like, okay, it's okay for me to give it. That's fine. That's what I do. But to receive it is a whole nother issue. That's a whole nother story. And there has to be reciprocity. There has to be a give and also a receive. And we need to receive it because I think we often think in people in service and also people that are healers, we think, okay, you know what? I'm doing the right thing because I'm giving. Well, one of the right things to do as well is to receive what the other person should be giving to us. Why? So that they can also receive their blessings. So that they can also receive their blessings. Because as we give, we're hopefully building up blessings, and we need to receive what they give as well so that they can build up their blessings too. Another part of that as well is there's some, again, this is no one's fault. There's no blame here. But also there is a thing where, hey, you know what? I can just give as a healer, as a teacher, and I'm good. I'm fine. You know, I'm here to help everybody else, but I don't really need help. I don't need help. Sure you do. You're a human being. We all need help. You know, as a healer, in terms of me and what I do, you better believe that I go and get healing. As a matter of fact, I was just on someone's table this weekend at a Tantra workshop. I was on a table and I was shedding some tears because that's what I needed to do. You know, I needed some healing. And I knew I did. That's why I got on the table. So no one is exempt from that. No one is exempt from that. Any more questions? Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Michelle or Melissa. Hey, RD. Raina. Hey, Anthony. Hey, Thomas. So I'm receiving questions now, and I'm just going to channel on questions. If you guys have some particular, if you have some questions to ask, some personal questions, then I'll channel some answers for you. You're welcome, Melissa. We started off this evening talking about guilt and shame and how that really debilitates us and shuts down our life force. So Melissa, did that answer your question? I want to make sure that answered your question. Or I'm sorry, Michelle. Good, I hope so. Good, good. You're welcome, Michelle. You're welcome. What truly motivates you when the dark comes over you? You mean when it seems like I'm going to get swallowed up? Is that it? Is that it, Thomas? What keeps you going in your crafts? Okay. Hey, Anthony. What keeps you going in your crafts? Got you. All right. What keeps you going in your crafts? Okay. You know, for me, it is it's unveiling the mystery of why I was brought here, the gifts that the Creator has given me, and the ability to help people, and just enjoying the journey. Honestly, just you know, there are some philosophies that say that really we are here to honor the Creator, to remember where we came from, and to experience. And in honoring the Creator, that can be interpreted in various ways. Literal honor, literal acknowledgement, and also loving one another. And then also experiences. So for me, the discovery of just people and how God has manifested itself in so many different ways motivates me in my craft. Seeing people embrace who they are, and then offer their gifts to the world is what motivates me in a big, big way. In a big way. I see you. You said something about hats, Melissa. Drowning. Yep. Ah. When you want to, so Thomas said, when you want to not get out of bed, what keeps you from staying in bed? That's a great question because for me, I dealt with depression for some years, and there were times where I absolutely it just took everything I had to get out of bed, and it all changed when I really started to investigate and find out who I truly, truly am. Not who my parents wanted to be, not who the church wanted me to be, not who my community wanted me to be, but who the Creator, who God wanted me to be. And for me, that has really been a divine adventure. It really has. You know, it has been a time of great discovery. I'm actually plugging up here. It's been a time of great discovery, and it's what I try to get other people to. Try to help other people do for themselves as well. Is again going inward and discovering who and what they are. You know, unfortunately, mainstream institutions don't do this. And in a lot of indigenous cultures, they start off doing that even before the child is born. So that when it's born, it knows what its path is, it knows what its direction is, and it is going full speed ahead. So for me, it's very, very much a journey. Okay, so Melissa's asking for her personality type. She's asking me to channel the best type of man for her. What I'm getting off the top, is you need a man that's patient. You need a man that's patient, that is understanding, that is rooted, that is calm, peaceful, but strong, like a salt of the earth type guy. Salt of the earth. Um, I'm seeing a brother who is like kind of soft spoken. I mean, he's soft spoken is not that's not the right term. He doesn't speak a lot, but when he speaks, it's profound. But at the same time, he has a good sense of humor. Um, Very strong in terms of energy, strong in terms of presence. Um, Very sensible, very balanced, very wise. He has a depth of understanding. Um, that's what I'm getting so far. That's what I'm getting so far for you, Melissa. But that patience, and that peace and that tranquility and that wisdom is huge for you because you've got to have someone that understands you. And you've got to have someone that can help anchor you too, and they anchor you through that peace, through that wisdom, and through that strength. And in that anchoring of you, it's someone that can also protect you, someone that can understand you, someone that you can lay with and that can surround you in their love. So their heart has to be open, but it needs to be it looks like it's going to be someone that's, your personality is up here in terms of energy. He's going to be kind of a little bit lower because he's going to be very grounding for you. It's going to be very, very grounding, very grounding. Let's see. And Thomas said, and a bam bam. Yeah, he's going to have to be able to handle that. And a bam bam. Yeah, he's got to be able to handle his business. That's why I say you need a strong brother. He's got to be able to handle his business. He's got to be able to handle his business with you, Melissa. Let me see here. Thomas, you said something. What do you define as the components of what healing or restoration consists of in what you bring as gifts to yourself and others? Let's see. What do you? I'm trying to really understand your question, Thomas. Thomas, give me another question, Thomas. Because here's one thing that I'm avoiding with these things, Thomas, is I don't want to get too technical. So let's give me a question about you, Thomas, or about someone that you know in terms of just personally. I mean, obviously, don't want to out your business too much, but give me something about someone that you know, and in terms of or something that you've been dealing with, or something. I don't want to get too technical for folks, and I want to be able to channel some answers to people, for people. Let me see here. Hold on. Let me see here. I mean, I think I understand your question, Thomas. I'm going to ask it real quick. If the components of healing, all right, so let me answer it in this way. So for those that are watching, if you're looking to hire a healer like me, and there are several on here. There's Thomas is here, Melissa, Tavon I think is still here. The reason it's so important is because we go to the doctor and we get physical checkups. But where are our spiritual checkups? We may even go and see a psychologist or a psychiatrist to help with the cognitive aspect of ourselves, the mind. But when and where are we going to get a spiritual and energetic checkup? So the idea is that we are spiritual / energetic beings first, with a physical shell. It's not the other way around. It's not that we're physical bodies first and then the energetic body is secondary. No. This is what all the religions are based on. The fact that we have, or the major religions rather, we have a spiritual body, an energetic body first, and we are having experience in this physical body. So with that in mind, we need to do something to take care of the physical / energetic spiritual body. Or I'm sorry, we need to do something to take care of the spiritual / energetic body. Something. I mean, we take baths every day for the physical body. We do things mentally, etc. Most women do certain emotional things. Most men do not. So what are we doing for our spiritual health? When you go to a holistic healer, such as myself, or Melissa, or Thomas, or Savon, you are taking care of your spiritual, energetic body. What does that do? The idea is that every ailment that you have, its origin is within the spiritual, energetic body first. Then it moves, if it's not properly taken care of, it moves and manifests to the physical body, to the mental body, and to the emotional body. But we're actually a 4-body system as human beings. We're a spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical body system. 4. So we take care of the physical pretty good, going for checkups to the doctor. Some of us go and we, although it's looked down upon sometimes, but we do something mentally. Either if it's not a psychiatrist, then it's some other mental exercise, or maybe it's a little bit of meditation or yoga or whatever, which is yoga is can be seen as mental and emotional and physical, but pretty much primarily physical. And some yoga is all four. It's energetic as well. But we do very little for the energetic body, very very little. And so what myself and other holistic practitioners are trying to really encourage people to do is to um, what we try to do is we try to address those issues. Um, we try to address those issues in the energetic body first through meditation, through energy work, through removing blockages, all those sorts of things. So removing blockages is really important, and removing entities off of us. A lot of us are carrying entities or negative thought patterns and negative belief systems or conditionings, and we need to wipe those things off of us. And then we need to infuse the body with positive energies so that our vibrations stay high. Again, when I talked about this book in the beginning, I talked about quantifying energy and as they relate to emotions. So if we can get those lower thought patterns off of us that bring us shame and guilt, and think in terms of joy and love, then we are raising our vibration. And that's what we do through energy work, removing blockages, cleaning people up, and infusing with more God force energies. You know what? I actually thought that, Melissa, that you asked the question about what type of man, and it looks like it might have been, oh no, it was. Okay. I didn't answer that for Melissa. Okay. But you asked it too, Michelle. Let me respond for you. I just saw that, so I'm sorry, Michelle. Hey, Jocelyn, how are you, love? Let me answer for you, Michelle. Let me see here. Hmm. Interesting. For you, I'm seeing a real. This is really interesting. This is really interesting. I'm seeing a boy. I'm seeing a business-minded person um, that has a lot of structure in their life, a lot of structure, a lot of discipline. Um, wow. Um, and kind of conservative. This is interesting. Um, this is interesting. I think I'm getting that I'm seeing this because this may be what you need. Um, I'm also seeing that for this person to come along, though, you'd really have to really be open to changing a lot in your life. But there's a very strong business sense to you, though, Michelle. There's a very strong business sense to you that you just really haven't. Developed it a little bit, um, but I'm getting that because there's a very strong business sense to you. Um, there's a very industrious part of you that can create, that can handle business well. Um, and it's interesting. I'm seeing that for you. It's very interesting. It because I'm seeing a partnership if done the right way. And I'm seeing this person from their discipline and their knowledge of business being able to collaborate with you and draw that out of you. That's what I'm seeing. It's very interesting for you. Very interesting. You've got a lot of skills that you haven't tapped into yet. And that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. One of the reasons you haven't tapped into it is, again, what you said in the beginning, is the self-love issue, the shame issue, the trying to service everyone else and trying to downplay yourself. And you're understanding that you're not doing anyone good, let alone yourself. As a matter of fact, the light that you have to bring to others is not being presented at all, because as a matter of fact, you're snuffing and you're oppressing and you're shunning the light that you have for others. So it's so important to understand that our gifts are not just for us. As a matter of fact, they're primarily for others. They're primarily for our family, for the community, for our friends, for the city, for the nation, etc. Hey, Jason. Stacy Fisher. Hello there. So, okay, Jocelyn, any messages? So I hope that answers the question, but that's what I see for you. But I do see this, Michelle. You really have to get ready. This for that to come along, it would be a complete overhaul of your life. But here's the catch: a complete overhaul, but you've been doing glimpses of this. There's a part of you that wants this. So you have to really just surrender to that. Let it go, embrace that, and understand that where you are now is not really you. You are operating now out of a conditioned self. It's not really you. It's not the true self. You're operating now out of a place that, as you said, is about shame and guilt. That's not the true self. That's not the true self. So don't mistake the two. Don't mistake the two. So you can have this, but it's really calling you to completely overhaul and rethink your life, which is really a beautiful thing. When clients come to me, I tell them, they say, oh, I'm so confused. I don't know what to do. I'm like, great, fantastic. You're in a great space, because you can't fill a cup that's already full. So if someone thinks that they already know, they're not going to receive new information. They're not going to change. They think they already know. They think they already got it. So if you're coming to me or someone else, another healer, and you're saying, you know what, I don't know what to do, fantastic. Now we're ready to go. We're ready to do some work. We're ready to change. Fantastic. I just need you to be open and to be allowing and receiving. That's all I need. Fantastic. That's all Spirit needs. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Phil Davis. Phil. You're welcome, Michelle. You're very welcome. Jason, what's good? Any messages for me? Miss Jocelyn, any messages for me? Let me see. Let me see. Okay, so this you got this trip going to Ecuador. Don't be discouraged if it's not as many people as you think. It is divinely inspired and protected. Let me see here. Do not abandon your idea for your center. Do not abandon that. See it all the way through. See it all the way through. Do not abandon it. Do not abandon it. It's going to happen. See it all the way through. It may not happen exactly the way you want it to happen, but it's still going to happen. See it all the way through, and it will be divine. See it all the way through. Do not stop. Do not stop. As a matter of fact, it's saying once you get started, you can't stop. And it doesn't mean that that it has to be a white knuckle treatment the whole way through, but what it's saying is there needs to be consistency all the way through. So you cannot afford to, and I don't know why, but you can't afford to put it to the side for a month or two You can't do that with this. You can't. You just can't do it. You have to see it all the way through. Even if it's a little bit consistently, that's fine. That's fine. But with this, do not say, okay, I'm going to put this on the back burner. You can't do that with this. You can't do that with this. Because it's like it won't happen if you do that. Something's going to happen and it won't happen. You got to see it all the way through. Because it's time. It's time. So see it all the way through. Okay, that's all I have so far, love. Chris, haha. Hello, Remy, what's up? You're welcome, love. Can't stop, won't stop. That's right. Anthony, give me. Hold on, let me see. Anthony, do you have any any specific questions? Anthony, if you have not met someone, if you're not already in a new relationship, it seems like you may be in one very soon. But be ready. I know that it seems like the last few years you have been kind of cleaning your slate. So continue to clean your slate. Continue to, perfect yourself. Continue to keep it. Just continue to allow who you really are to shine. That's where you've been the last few years. And don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. You're where you should be. You made a move recently that was good to make. I think it was last year. Anytime that you feel, Anthony, that you need to cut something or cut someone loose, do it. It's not just coming out of nowhere, because you're leveling up. You're in a process of constantly leveling up. You're leveling up. You're leveling up. So continue to do that. Do not stop that process. Continue to do that. Okay, you said dealing with business. All right, let me see here. All right, Anthony, what I'm getting here is I'm still kind of getting the same thing in terms of, okay. So Anthony, for you, you've got to make sure that where you are is in a place that's balanced. And for you, that means that your surroundings have got to be positive. Your surroundings have got to be positive, because then it'll affect you in a certain way where you'll draw certain things to you. So for you, it's all about, and it's the same thing with everybody, but sorry guys, it looks like I got kicked off for a minute. All right, cool. Can everybody hear me again? I've got a bit of a wonky connection. Is everybody there? Can somebody tell me that they're with me now? Can somebody let me know? Looks like I just got kicked off. Oh, I hate this. Oh no. Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, folks. Oh, this connection. Thank you, Chris. All right. So, Anthony, with you, man, everything is really about your environment is really important to you, and People that you have business dealings with, um, you have to understand that, or they need to you need to understand who you are. You need to go into these partnerships with a certain type of confidence because they've got to be able to properly acknowledge you and respect what you're bringing to the table. So that's also why your environment has to be a certain way, because you've got to feel good about your environment, you've got to feel good about yourself, and you've got to feel confident about what you're bringing to the table. That's really important for you. So how you come into a relationship, particularly a business relationship, or any relationship, but you ask about business, is really, really important. You got to come in like you're the man. Of course, that's going to require that you are the man, that you've done proper studying, and that you've gotten proper information and proper knowledge about what you bring to the table, and that you've got the proper resources all lined up. You've got all your I's dotted, you've got all your T's crossed. But then you've got to feel it. You've got to feel it. So your thing is, you don't want to appear as if you don't know. You've got to know, and then you've got to show that you know. All right. Ashley, Michelle. All right. How y'all doing? All right. So I will take, wow, we're at 9:12. I will take, you're welcome, Anthony. I'll take one last question. Take one last question. And I hope I didn't miss one. Did I miss any? I'm gonna make sure. Okay, so Phil Davis, how do you deal with getting rid of guilt and shame? All right, Phil. So we actually went over this. Right on. 9/12 is your birthday. Right on, buddy. Yeah, I'm a 9/22. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yay for the Septembers. So Phil D, you're asking. Actually, Philip, are you still there? You still there, Phil? Let me know. I hope you didn't get kicked off. You might not be. I only see two people. Phil, are you still on? Let me try and invite Phil again. So we talked about, okay, I'm going to invite him. We talked about how to get rid of guilt and shame. I'm going to see if I can get Phil back on here because he asked this question, which is really important. Let me go ahead and talk about it again. I think we have a few more people on since I brought it up. So with guilt and shame, I'm going to briefly go over the the deleterious effects of guilt and shame. Number one, if we make a decision not to engage in sex and it's coming from a negative perspective, that is damaging to the body. So if there is guilt and shame in relating to our sexuality and our sexual selves, our sexual body, that is extremely negative, and it breaks down the body energetically. That's important because we are energetic beings first, and the whole idea is to vibrate at a higher frequency and experience more joy, more manifestation, more abundance, etc. If we are making a decision about our sexual bodies, our sexual self, from a place of shame or guilt, that is an extremely low, dense negative emotional place, and the energetic quotient on that is very low. It's like 20. Just to give an example, love is 500. Guilt and shame is like 20. So, if you are regarding your sex from that perspective, then you are literally shutting down and putting death on your sex. To reverse that, what you want to do is, number one, forgive yourself. And you can actually write this out, write a letter. Write a letter to forgive yourself for whatever act you feel that you've done. Write a letter of asking for forgiveness from the other person. Then you can write out the experience and burn it. I just had a client do this the other day, and she said she felt 50 pounds lighter. And what you're doing when you're writing it out, you're writing the experience out, you're burning it, you're cutting off, you're severing that tie. Then what you can do is you can rewrite the experience in the most positive sense, focusing on the positive effect that a more positive experience would have on you. That's one way to take care of that. Another way in this to get out of right and wrong, and shame is all about right and wrong all day long, unfortunately, is to put right and wrong to the side, look at the experience for what it is, and extract the lessons. Okay, so this is for me to learn that I'm this way. So, okay, so I want to make sure that I do this next time because this is important to me. And okay, then when I'm relating to someone else, this is important to them, so I'm going to make sure I do this next time. You want to write out the lessons for you, so the nuggets that you can take so that you can grow from. That's what you want to do. That'll also kind of help you get out of a guilt and a shame paradigm. All right? So I hope I've answered questions tonight. Looks like we're about done. I hate the fact that that I dropped some connections tonight. I really, really hate that. I'm going to see what I can do in regard to strengthening this connection. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. But I hope I answered some questions tonight. Again, for readings, I'm located here in Stone Mountain. And my readings and my sessions are a combination of channel readings, energy work, and coaching. I give you channeled readings to find out what the messages the Spirit has for you and the message that your guides have for you. Then I give you the energy work to see if we can get together and correct and take off some negative energies that may be on you or blocking you, which include some negative thought patterns. And then I give you coaching to also, in a cognitive sense, address the negative thought patterns and give you a plan of action. So it's a threefold process in which I work. I love what I do. My information is actually here on the Facebook live feed here. You can call me at 310-922-8357, or you can reach me here on Facebook. Of course, just message me and we can connect. All right, I will see you here next Tuesday, same time, same bat channel, and we'll do it again. All right, peace and love and blessings to you. Thank you. Bye-bye. And please feel free to share this as much as you like, and let's spread the word. All right, take care. Bye-bye.